Good morning in the news this morning. Today is the first video in the How to Train Your Dragon series. Dragon meaning glutes. If you watch children cartoons, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. How to warm up your glutes, because nobody likes a cold glute. Am I right? I'm right. Your glutes don't fire just by engaging them, squeezing them together. If you are doing exercises and you feel like your quads are taking over, or you just don't feel like your glutes are engaged, I'm talking about getting a pump, like you would get a bicep pump, muscle pump, all the blood to the glute kind of pump. In your glutes, when you do isolation exercises, you need to train your body to connect that mind-muscle connection and teach your glutes to fire. And sometimes this takes taking a step back from just diving right in and doing like the hardcore glute thrusters and the lunges, and this is probably why you don't feel your glutes firing in your squat. But fear not, because there are a ton of mobility exercises and stretches you can start doing right now, every day, to train your body to do this. It also might be a muscle tightness or imbalance compensation kind of issue. Typically, if you sit most of the day, I'm talking about like in front of a desk, or you sit during your commute to work for multiple hours a day, you're sitting in this position where your knees are bent and your hips are bent as well. So that muscle called the hip flexor that connects from the top of your quad essentially into the bottom of your abdominals is shortened and tightened. So when you stand up and like you try and stretch that muscle now, which is straight and wants to extend, it's going to be shortened and tightened. And if you've built up over the course of, months and years of doing this, it's not going to be as stretchy and fluid and allow you to get a full extension in your leg. Now, what's on the opposite side of that hip flexor behind you in your posterior chain? Oh, your glutes. That's so weird. So if your hip flexors are too tight, it's not going to allow you to properly engage your glutes. So sometimes it's just a matter of relaxing your hip flexors and stretching them out and getting them to be more mobile and more flexible for your glutes to start engaging in these workouts. Hey, and I'm gonna show you how to do all that, so no worries, guys. I also have a video out on how I fixed my squat rather, and there are a lot of really good glute engagement stretches and hip flexor mobility, flexibility stretches in that video that I will link here, and I want you to go check out as well in addition to this one today. So without further ado, here are the exercises for how to warm up your glutes.
Lateral band walks. First things first, form. With your knees slightly bent and your hips slightly back, you're going to push your hips back and forth in a posterior and anterior pelvic tilt until you find your neutral, right there, where your glutes and your abs are the most engaged. This is the form you want to maintain throughout the entire movement. It's not easy, so practice, practice, practice. Once you get that form, you are going to hold it as you bring your feet left and right, leading with the heel of the foot that's in front, and you are going to be engaging that side of your glute to the direction that you are walking. Your core is engaged, your glutes are engaged, you're in neutral. Feel free to put your hands on the sides of your glutes to help keep that mind-muscle connection going on. This is a warm-up, so you're not completely fatiguing your glutes, but you definitely want to start feeling them tingle, a little burn, and just knowing they're there. Each step you exhale, each collection you inhale, continuing to work your breath with the movement of the exercise. Glute bridges. You can do this with or without a band. Get your upper back rested flat on the edge of a bench, enough so that when you come down, your glutes can be in a full extension at the bottom of the movement. As you squeeze to come up, all of the pressure should really be in the heels of your feet. You're going to engage your glutes, squeezing them together as if you are pulling something out of the floor underneath you and pulling it up and out. Squeezing your glutes together and pushing up. You want to create a tabletop position at the top of this movement, enough so that you could literally put a plate of your dinner on top of your hips and it would not tip over, fall to the side, whatever. I like to think about stretching my hip flexors, those muscles that go from the top of my quads all the way through into the bottom of my abdominals. So I want to stretch those hip flexors as much as I can at the top of this movement. If the hip flexors are stretched and extended, then the glutes can fully flex. If you have a problem doing that, I recommend going to my hip mobility and squat video where I'm teaching you how to warm up your hip mobility. Take your time doing this exercise, hold it a few seconds at the top of each rep. You can even hold it for 10, 20 seconds at the top of each rep. You're creating the resistance in this exercise with your own body. So take your time. You should feel your glutes engaged and start to burn at the end of this. For more mobility stretches for your hip flexors to allow your glutes to engage and your hip flexors to relax, check out this video on my channel that talks about how I fixed my squat and the different mobility exercises and stretches I have started to implement to open up those muscle groups. They have seriously been life-changing and allow me to engage my glutes in a lot of different exercises that aren't just those glute isolating ones. So here's the link up at the top. Go check those out.